I mean, when I fought Rashad Evans, it wasn't the most action-packed fight. And when I watched it back, I was like, fuck.
Right.
Why did I just go for it a little bit more? And then I'm like, oh, because I remember, because every time I took a step forward, woof, I felt the wind of the punches nearly taking my head off.
Yeah.
When you sit, even myself, when you sit and watch, you're like, why aren't I doing more? But then you take yourself back to when you were in there, and you're like, yeah, that was why. That was why. You know,
it's such a tricky situation, and the fight game evolves, the styles evolve, and the way guys pursue fights evolves. It's really interesting to watch. You know, you see a guy like Mighty Mouse who does things different than anybody else, and you go, oh, well, look how this motherfucker does it. You know,
and for sure.
It's a sport where you were incredibly fortunate in that you got to not just be there when it was exploding, but you got to be a part of the explosion.
Sure.
You know, I mean,
agreed. Absolutely. I mean,
so like 2006, you were in the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, 2005. I flew out. It was December 2005.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
Crazy, man. It really was. It was good times.
That's when it was just popping.
Oh, yeah. I remember when The Ultimate Fighter first came out, and it was on Bravo TV in England. Well, same as here. And I said to my wife, I was like, check this out. And she's like, I can't watch it. I'm like, why? She said, because if you were on there, you'd win the thing. So I don't want to watch it. It's not fair, Michael. You should be on there. And then lo and behold, about 6 months later, they were looking for 2 Englishmen. And we went down to Earl's Court for auditions. And the great thing was, at that time, I was 10-0. I was the Cage Rage champion, Cage Warriors champion, and FX3 champion, as well as the British heavyweight kickboxing champion as well. And everyone that was auditioning for the light heavyweight, I'd knocked them all out in the first round. Of course, true to my style, I made, Dana fully aware of that. But it was crazy, man. I couldn't believe it. It was nuts. I'd never been to America. Next minute, I'm on some fucking reality TV show in a mansion in Las Vegas. It was a great time. It was. It really was.
What was it like being separated from your family for 6 weeks and doing that show? And
very hard, very difficult, of course. But I was there for a reason, and so I was the greater good. I said, yeah, of course, it sucks. It sucks being away. It sucks missing time, missing birthdays, all that type of stuff. But if you're doing it for a reason, then you just got to be mature about it. My wife always was. The kids understand. It's not good being away from home, but I'm working on something here. Trying to set us up. Come on, do me a favor. Understand?
Well, it worked out.
Yeah, they were always great. Yeah,
it worked out.
It did. No regrets. I mean, maybe a few.
Yeah, but you know what, man? There's no way to not have them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no perfect path. That's one of the crazy things about fighting. You zig when you should have zagged. You get hit.
That's it.
That's part of the game. That's
that
what
really
it
is the sport. It's such a cliche thing to say. So many ways to win and lose, but there really is. And as you say, you zig when you should have zagged. The smaller gloves. The takedowns. That's the problem when you fight a wrestler. It's such a pain in the ass. Because I'm a better striker than most of these wrestlers, but when they're trying to take you down, it changes everything.
Right.
Because you go out and you're like, okay, this motherfucker's just trying to take me down. That's all he's trying to do. So I'm going to stand there and I'm going to wait for him to shoot, and then I'm going to stuff his takedown. Because I'm waiting for a takedown, I'm not thinking about the hands, and then douche, then you get caught with a shot. You're like, what the fuck? You're supposed to be going for a takedown, not punching me in the face. And then all of a sudden, your striking's terrible because you're totally thrown off by the wrestling. So it's a very, very difficult sport. It really is.
Another one of your most impressive victories was the second fight with Dan Henderson. Because you got hit with some fucking bombs in that fight, but you refused to go out.
Yeah.
You refused to be stopped in that fight.
Yeah, I mean...
That was a display of willpower in a lot of ways, because I remember watching those big shots from Henderson land, and I mean they were on the edge. I mean, you were on the edge going out.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. I mean, I remember he hit me. I went down. He was swarming on me, hit me with some elbows. But I remember I was always fine. But I was like, holy shit, that was what hit me there. And then I managed to get myself back to my feet, and I had blood pouring out my face and whatnot. Of course, second round, same thing happened. And he had 2 big moments in the fight. 2 big shots, but they were big moments. But you don't win a 25-minute fight by landing 2 shots, you know. But they were big shots, fair play to him. But, I refused to quit there because, obviously going into that fight, I talked a bit of shit, like always.
Yeah.
And you can lie to everybody. You can lie to the media, you can lie to the press, you can lie to your family, lie to your coaches. Well, it's not necessarily lies. but you can ooze bravado and this and that. But you can't lie to yourself. You know, when you're laid in bed at night and your head's on the cushion, you know, you can't bullshit yourself, you know. And day of the fight, because the fight was at 6 a.m, day of the fight, I'm laid on my bed trying to just have a nap because it was going to be a long night, obviously. And I couldn't sleep. And all I was thinking, human nature, last time I stepped into an octagon with this guy, I was fucking out cold for a long time. My brain was scrambled eggs for a long time after that fight. And as I say, you can lie to everybody else, but now the fight was getting close and it's in my hometown and it's my first title defense and all this. I'm like, shit. I know I'm better than this guy, but fuck, last time didn't end well. So I was getting a little worked up. And I remember I was at the arena and I was kind of, you know, being a little edgy, a little snappy with people, and there was no need for it. And then I just stopped. I started laughing, and Perillo said, what are you laughing at? I said, well, what's the worst that's going to happen if I lose? What's the worst? I'm going to lose a fight. It's happened before, so why am I stressing myself out over it? And I just started laughing, and after that I was fine. But it was I definitely had a sore face the next day after that one, for sure.
Yeah, but you got through the fire.
Yeah, no, I did, and I felt great. The only problem was in the 5th round, because this cheekbone had swollen. It was on my good side. He shattered the cheekbone on my good side, and it swelled up so much I could hardly see out of that eye. This eye's fucked as well. So in the 5th round, I'm like trying to like get a certain angle where I could even see the guy. Do you know what I mean? It was a nightmare, you know. But yeah, got the job done, fortunately.
Is there anything that like is on the horizon in terms of like medical science that you're looking at in terms of being able to fix your eyes?
Not that I know of. I spoke to doctors about it, you know, because I was, I was always curious what could be done, but I don't think in my lifetime there is. But the reason I retired was at the Gastelum fight, because I was cleared to fight, and the doctors were always like, we don't really advise it, but you are cleared. You've passed the test just by the skin of your teeth. And for me, that was all well and good. You got to do your medical. The most stressful part of all of that was when you got to go do a full training camp now, then fly somewhere, and you're going to see another doctor, a commissioned doctor at the weigh-in, right? And you don't know what this doctor's going to be like. You don't know if he knows anything about eyes. You don't know if he wants to be a hero. You don't know if he wants to make fucking press, the guy that pulled the main event. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very, very stressful time. So for me, the fight was always the easy part. The hard part was just fucking making it to the octagon. And I go to the weigh-ins and I get cleared. I was like, ugh. The feeling was like, okay, we're good. The fight's on. Because I didn't know the fight was on until I got past the commission doctor.
How many different fights did you have to go through like that?
I think it's about 12, something like that.
12 fights with eye problems.
I'm not sure if it's 12, something like that. Hold on. Belcher, Tim Kennedy, Kungley, Rockhold, CB, Tellers Anderson Silva, Luke Rockhold, Dan Henderson, GSP, Gastelum. 11
fights.
Yeah. So that was stressful. And then obviously, I lost the belt. And in my mind, I've retired. You know, I just hadn't made it formal yet. And I was driving out for lunch with my wife and my in-laws. They were in town. And we heard on Sirius XM Fight Club, the Luke Thomas show, he was talking about Anderson Silva testing positive for steroids. And they needed a replacement. And I said, shall I do it? And they were like, what were you talking about? So I text Dana right then and there. And a week later, I'm on a plane to Shanghai. No training. I hadn't done anything.
No training.
Well, I mean, I trained as soon as I found out about that.
Right.
You know, I mean, I sparred a few times and then got on a plane and went out there. And God bless him, he got me. But then after the fight, because, as I said, I was cleared to fight, but the doctors always said, we don't recommend it because if anything happens to your good eye, you're gonna be in a real problem. And I was like, well, so many fighters in the UFC have long careers and they don't get detached retinas. Okay, it's a very not rare, but it's pretty rare. Pretty rare. You don't hear about it too much. So I'm thinking, okay, well the lightning's already struck. Okay, lightning isn't going to strike twice. You know what I mean? I'm not that fucking unlucky. Anyway, so we have the Gastelum fight, and then we go to an after party in Shanghai. I'm in some club. And I'm in the club, and every time I look that way, and it still does it to this day, every time I look that way, tsh, 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 like a bolt of lightning, like
You
a
see
flash.
it right now when you do
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Well, like, what do you see?
It's arc.
Like someone's taking a picture?
Yeah, yeah. And I was in this club, and every time I'm looking, it's doing that, and I start freaking out because I know, you know, I've got a history of symptoms with eye problems and whatever, and I start telling myself, I don't believe this. I've got a detached retina in my good eye, and I'm freaking out, and I don't want to be in a nightclub around a bunch of fucking dickheads anyway, all drinking. I hate nightclubs. So I said, I'm just going to go to the toilet and restroom. And I was leaving, you know, but I just wanted to be by myself. And I left there and shed a little tear in the taxi. I didn't want to be sat in a fucking nightclub crying, because if people see me crying, they're going to be like, oh, he's crying because bless him, he lost a fight to Gastelum. I was like, no, I'm not crying.